as we welcome Pronsias, Dani, and Hanno into the CCFm studios here in Muizenberg, Cape Town, South Africa. Good morning.
Good
morning.
How are
Thank you
you?
for having us.
Welcome to Cape Town.
So good. Love it to bits. So let's start with Dani, the lady in the group. Dani, you hail from Germany, right?
Exactly. I'm from Germany. As Hanno. Hanno is also from Germany.
But Hanno's got a different accent. There's a bit of something else there, right?
He worked hard on it.
Yeah.
And then Pronsias, such an honor, privilege to have you. You're originally from Ireland, the
Ireland,
Republic of Ireland.
Yes. No, I'm from the north.
The north.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
close to Belfast.
Yeah, about an hour from Belfast.
Okay, fantastic. So yes, okay, fantastic. The focus of this morning's conversation is an event that took place on the 16th of January, 2017, so 7 years ago. Tell us what happened, Pronsias.
Yeah, so Hanno and we met. I was here traveling alone, and Hanno was here for a wedding. But for the next few days, he was going to be alone at the wedding party. We're going to be leaving, and we met in a club. We just had a nice conversation, and because we were both going to be on our own for the next few days, he very kindly invited me to go on some road trips with him. And I was a bit nervous because I was like, I don't know this guy, but why not? Look, life's an adventure. And I was staying in Bloberg at the time, and Hanno came, collected me, and within 10 minutes we were involved in a car crash.
Oi.
Yeah, so we were driving outside of Bloberg, and a little old Cape Townian couple, they kind of went to do a U-turn in the middle of the road and didn't see us coming, and drove straight into the side of our car.
Ooh.
And we were turned around, we were thrown to the side of the road, and it was quite traumatic, especially for the fact that the airbags just smashed us in the face. And I was actually bending down to pick up a map at the time, so it was like an inch from my face. So at that moment, we kind of panicked a little bit. But then the series of events that unfolded after that were quite special in that, coincidentally, there were two female paramedics in the car right behind us.
Wow.
And they were off duty, but they had all their equipment with us. They got us out of the car. We were sitting along the side of the road, and they put a Hanno. You maybe can tell the story a little bit from here, because I got all the attention. For Hanno was ignored a little bit.
I take it.
Someone
has to do the organising, right? So that was me in that case. So we've got two different perspectives on that accident, to be honest. But it was a bit like our funny quote there. That because I was so busy, I rented the car, so I felt like, oh my god, I've got to call the insurance, I've got to handle all of that, and then I talked to police as well. And I must say, in Cape Town, everybody was really quick. Like, it didn't take a long time for them to be there. And of course, the paramedics were driving behind us just accidentally, so on a chance. So that was good. But also, police was really quick. I must say.
Really.
So thumbs up for that. I must say.
Yeah.
And but then I was organising everything, and because maybe also was a drive. So, but I was organising, and after 5 minutes or 8 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm organising here, and poor Francis was sitting on the side of the road with a little, how do you call them, like the aluminium blanket, from a good old-fashioned Hollywood movie, traumatized, shaking, and everybody was taking care of him, and I was there, and I thought, I've been in that accident in that car as well. I have to organise, and he's being taken care of, but that's okay. I took on that part.
Yeah. So then, after maybe about 15 minutes, I was sitting there still in a bit of shock, and then this woman, she came up to me, she knelt down in front of me, and she took my hands, and she started to tell me that everything was going to be okay, that I was going to get to the hospital, that I was going to be fine. And I asked her, I was like, who are you? Like, why are you here? And she told me that she drove past the scene of the accident, and that God spoke to her, and that God told her to come back and reassure me that everything is going to be okay. And I said to her in that moment, I was still in a bit of shock. I said, I lost faith in God a long time ago, and within a split second, she said to me, well, God has never lost faith in you.
Sure.
And in that moment, she comforted me, she relaxed me. I didn't take her name, I didn't take her number, no details, and I would love to find her to say, number one, thank you, and then I would also love to hear what happened in that moment for her when she told me that God spoke to her. Sure. And that's part of it. We're here 7 years later. Hanno and I met Dani through Hanno 7 years ago, and it feels like a real full circle story, and I would love to find this woman, whoever she is.
Yeah. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. In a nutshell, we're looking for this mystery lady, this lady who stopped at that accident. 16 Jan 2017 is the exact date. And it was in Bloberg.
It's 10 minutes outside, I think, outside Bloberg,
Sure. And I mean, I can imagine in that moment you were shocked, you were shivering, your brain doesn't think clearly. So
yeah, and I think as well, like, although the woman was speaking specifically about at that moment that I was going to be okay, whenever I tell my mum that story, so my mum was born a Catholic, I was born a Catholic, reared a Catholic, and she takes a lot of comfort from that story, because even if I'm not necessarily a person of faith in this moment, she believes that God was telling me more so for the long run of my life that I'm going to be okay, not specifically going to the hospital. So she believes that, okay, even if I don't necessarily believe, that it doesn't mean that whenever I die that I'm not going to get into heaven. And my mum, all she wants is that she sees me and my brothers and sisters in heaven with her, and she believes that woman was telling me that in that moment.
Hanno, for you as the person who had to make all the arrangements of this accident, and like you said, like all the attention was on Pronsias.
Even God only told her to take care of it. I don't know if I have to work with that. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, exactly. But just tell us a little bit in terms of, since that accident, just the experience, being flung around in a vehicle, airbags popping, all those things. What went through your mind at that stage?
I think the thing about an accident is while it's happening, you don't know how sincere it's going to be. You just feel like all the forces working on the car were kind of like turning around and even like crossing the street and landing on the right side of the street. And I don't know if you ever experienced an airbag coming out in a car. It's such a force.
Sure.
It's the purpose of an airbag because it has to come out quickly. But I think that was really like such a force coming out, and then the powder making the airbag come out.
Oh, yes.
It's really aggressive. But what we thought is because the areas of the body where the airbag touched us, it really burned. And the first minute, I thought my hands were broken or something, because the powder is so aggressive that it makes your skin burn.
Yeah.
So that was like, in the end, it was not really that sincere. But in that moment, it was really shocked, because you don't know what's going to happen and how it's going to end while you're kind of like moving in that car and you don't have any control anymore. So I mean that brings it worse accidents, I'm quite sure. I mean, it was a total damage to the car, but then the moment itself such an impact.
Sure. So please, if you are that lady who was there, God spoke to you, you just felt the need, you felt the importance of stopping and going back. And this is something that I've said on radio a number of times, is the fact that God can use us if we are willing to be used. And God, I believe, works through people because, we are his children. And so what an incredible opportunity. If you're that person, maybe you know that person, maybe you know that lady, she told you the story. Would you please connect with us in studio on 061 798 1075. That's the number to use, 061 798 1075. So we can connect you with Pronsias, because this is now where the story gets even more interesting. Pronsias makes podcasts. And I mean, this is the reason, one of the reasons behind wanting to connect with this lady, hey?
Yeah. So I've made multiple podcasts for the BBC. I worked in the BBC for 10 years and I just went freelance last year. But this very much falls in line with the kind of documentaries and podcasts I make. It's all about human connection, essentially. And there is faith within a lot of them podcasts as well. And yeah, I think if I can connect with this woman and hear her story, and I think that would be a very special moment for me and hopefully for her as well.
Yeah. I've got a suspicion that there's going to be something more than just very special, just in terms of a depth and an understanding. So that's really interesting. Danny, we haven't had much from your side and we don't have a lot of time, but just as somebody who is an outsider looking in and seeing these two gents and hearing the story and knowing them, just quickly in terms of that personal connection and how important it is if we arrive on the scene and we are in the right frame of mind, that we can make a big difference.
Yeah, I see it from the psychotherapeutic side, and basically the woman did the best she could do. Like it was a pure act of charity, and there's, for example, a somatic experience found by Peter Levine, who also had like a severe car accident, and a woman came holding his hand, just being there for him, being a witness of the moment, and making the connection to the oneness, like to the love, and it brought him back from life and from life and from all the panic he was experiencing in that moment.
Sure, amazing. Well, gents, lady, this is where we're going to have to park it for today. But what an honor and privilege to have you guys in our studios. So great. And we trust that that lady will have either heard this broadcast or will see it on Facebook or on YouTube and will make contact. And then I'll put her in contact with you, Pronsias. But the story hopefully doesn't end here.
Yeah.
The story's just begun. And thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you, guys.
Such an honor and a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Really appreciate it.